Good evening, welcome to it. This is DHA's Metal Mania, and we are freezing our butts off, hanging out on the tour bus with Mr. Devin Townsend today. I am so happy to get to chat with you once again. It's been a couple of years since you and I have last spoke.
Yeah.
And
we spoke before.
We've done this a few times before. I was much lighter, and I didn't have facial hair.
Oh, okay.
So it's thrown you totally off.
Oh, okay. It's good to see you
You had a great time the last time.
Okay, good. Sorry, man. I didn't recognize you.
If I would have brought my wife in, you would have seen her, and she would have seen you, and then...
All things would have been...
No, it would have been awful, because she would have been like, hi!
If you can grow facial hair and you don't, it's a slap in the face of the universe.
This is the most I've ever had in my...
You can do it, so you should.
40-something years on this planet.
This is as far as I can go, man.
What? Wait, come on, you need... Well, listen, you shaved the head. Everybody else in the band's got a little something going on.
Yeah, I know. They do it to spite me, motherfuckers.
Just to show you up. Like, you could write those songs? I grew facial hair.
Sucks. I tried it all.
Just for one little beard.
One for one beard. I had something like akin to a beard in strapping, but it was see-through, so it didn't count.
Oh, the strapping hairstyle. That was
brutal.
That was just... We don't even need to go. You're never going to go back to that, are you?
Oh, hell no. I mean, I think the only reason I even grew that at the time is I had a good buddy in Vancouver that used to try and give me shit about going bald. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll frame it. Motherfucker. What do you think of that? You mean this? Is this what you're thinking about? This? That's what you're talking about here?
Can't even see it. But you've got to be, I think, a little excited, maybe a little bittersweet to be wrapping up the touring behind Transcendence.
No, just excited.
You're done?
Yes.
I follow you. You're one of my favorites to follow on Instagram. You make me laugh with your
ball-licking lions.
Well, no, pictures of toilets from across the world.
Yeah.
Those are always fun.
Well, I'm often checking my mail.
Well, that's what everybody
That's not
does.
a euphemism. But I was like, while I'm on the shitter, so I figured, oh, well, we share. Like, no, man, I gotta tell you, it's like...
It's gotta be brutal.
It has been very difficult. Not very difficult. I mean, we're on tour bus, we're playing music, it's a great life, everything's wonderful. However, like all good things that you do to the exclusion of everything else in your life, it gets old really quick. And so I think the due date for this particular part of my life to, at the very least, have an extended break is
well past.
Well past.
Well, it's only a few more days. You'll go back to the Arctic tundra known as Canada.
That's it, where there's no street signs, and we have to
recline in your igloo.
That's right. You have to shoo all the penguins away from your front. What do we call it there? We need some Inuit term.
I figured igloos have a front porch.
I got a buddy in Chicago, like a good friend, and he said to me, like with no hint of sarcasm or irony, "Do you guys have street signs in Canada?"
No, come on.
And I was like, no, dude. Moose can't read, bro.
Well, like I said, I imagine you being very excited to go home to the family. Yeah. The Moose.
Well, it's the Meese, yes, plural.
Meese. Okay, I wasn't sure.
It's a grumble of Meese. I'm excited to go home. Family's also another life. It's difficult. Everything is. What I want to do is not be around anybody and just write.
Bye-bye.
Right? Except for you.
Okay.
You didn't let me finish. But I mean, just like, because family life takes up a lot of time.
How many kids you have?
One.
How old?
11.
11.
Yeah. Takes up tons of time, and it's like,
I can imagine.
I've been married for so many years, we got a house, and it's like, parents are getting older, and school, and dogs, and fucking, like, keeping shit organized, and all I really want to do is just disappear into a studio and just relentlessly create for 6 months and then see what happens.
6 months? That's how long you're going to lock yourself away from?
I'd like to. It's not going to happen.
The igloo will melt before 6 months.
It depends on what time of the year. The rotation of the planet, man. It never gets sunny in Canada.
No,
it's the opposite of that Philadelphia TV show. It's never sunny in Canada.
You just said about writing. I've seen you talking about writing some stuff here and there as you've had some free time. And I've been reading you were talking about some sort of large orchestral arrangement or something. I didn't know if this is you messing with people, or are you dead serious on that one?
Well, I mean, what typically happens for me is I just write, and it surprises me as much as the people who are participating in it as to what comes out. But my role, I think, as a creative entity is something that I've certainly come to terms with, is I don't try and guide it. I don't try and control it. I just follow what gives me a thrill musically, and that often leads to a conclusion that summarizes parts of my life. It's how it rolls. So by the end of a record, I'm like, oh shit, that's where we were.
There's never a point where you're saying, I have to go in this direction. No. It just flows.
There's when I do think I got to go in this direction, I think that's usually when it shifts as well, because there's like a petulant sort of 15-year-old contrary part of my personality. It's just like, oh, you want to do that? All right, we'll do something else, right?
Just totally screw with you.
So the result of it is I just write constantly, and I write in whichever direction that day seems to determined for me. Like the other day I wrote this weird sort of salsa thing, and then I did this orchestral thing, and I did some death metal, and then I did a pop song, and I did some weird prog thing.
And this is all without any alcohol or drugs anymore?
Well, every now and then I'll have a glass of wine for sure.
Okay, a glass of wine is no big deal. But I remember back in the day you were a very different person.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, this is something that I've said over and over, and it's compounded by the fact that I've grown up publicly. Since I was 19 years old, 45 now, I've been doing interviews. And it's a very interesting experience to not be held accountable, because you should be held accountable, but for your identity to be such that it's like, oh, you're this type of person because you said so when you were,
Well, I would not say that, because I've seen, you can go back and find your old videos of like you hanging out with Vi and Headbangers Ball, walking around with your pants pulled up around your neck.
That stuff will never change.
But I haven't seen you do that in a long time. I also remember talking with you quite some time ago, and you had said you would cut out a lot of the things in your life that were messing with you.
I did, and I still have. But I also think that there's a part of me that when it comes to what I'm going to do next, when it comes to who I am and who I want to be, my goals for becoming an actualized human being requires me to investigate all sorts of parts of my personality. And there's certain things that I've sort of put as off limits entirely. I'm not even talking about drugs and alcohol, because a lot of that shit is just, you don't want to mess with, and you just learn that with age. But I think for years I spent a good deal of time denying the fact that I was ever anything other than uber positive all the time. Like when my son was born, there was a real sense of now I have a goal, because it's not about me anymore. It's about somebody else, and that gave me a reason to really pull myself together, and it was great. Sobriety and exercise and meditation and all these things, just to try and be a functional father. Because honestly, it's like being a dad, I never really planned on it, and it scared the shit out of me. I didn't want to fuck a kid up. I wanted to be like as good as I could be.
You got to be positive.
But now, as they're entering teen years and all this sort of stuff, your identity, all of a sudden it's back on you. It's like, well, now that you no longer have to play that sort of hyper-vigilant father role as much as you did at that point. Who are you in the face of this now? And I think where I'm at now creatively and personally is trying to establish what my parameters are as a person and as a creative entity without having to be accountable to somebody else. Like if you're only doing things for the sake of others, it's very easy to be cut and dried about who you are. I don't do this, I don't do this, I do this, and because the ramifications are tangible. But when it's just you, which I think happens to a lot of parents when their kids start getting older, you have to really say, well, who am I? What is it that I do like? What is it that I want to accomplish? What is it that I want as a human being? What are the parts of my personality that perhaps I've suppressed, that I suppress as a result of being afraid of them, for example? Like the darker parts. I mean, dude, I did strapping for years, and that was everything to me. But then as soon as life change came, I was like, okay, well, none of that. That is no longer a part of my personality.
And it seems like it took you quite a bit of time to get to leave strapping for your fans.
Very
to
much.
Leave strapping
Very
behind
much.
and embrace the Devin Townsend Project.
Well, and you see, the thing is, the Devin Townsend Project is a similar role in my life to what strapping was as well. It's like each one was a period that allows you to reflect on with strapping there was anger, there was fear, and I think with DTP as well, there's growth and there's the existential sort of pondering that comes with kids and age and all this. So what I'm trying to say, long story, fucking super long, is, well, where am I now? And I think that it's neither of those places, but it's somewhere between the two. And so it's currently about trying to figure out what your parameters are.
I mean, saying about family, children getting older, parents getting older, it's something that anybody in our age range, are still older than me, but anybody in our age range can relate to and understand.
And you see, as an artist, that's what I want to represent. I want to represent, well, where am I? What's pertinent to you at this point? Not only as an artist, but as a human being. Like, these questions, like you just said, it happens. It's a result of this age. So my process, as much as when it was with strapping, saying, okay, well, now I'm pissed off and I want everything to burn, so let's investigate that.
Right.
And then with DTP, it's like, okay, well, I'm afraid of the shadows, and love is this new, unconditional love is this new thing that I'm completely ill-prepared for, so let's investigate that. And so now it's like, okay, well, with all these things sort of under wraps and all these things sort of in your arsenal of your canon of experience, how do you implement that into becoming who you are? And it's all of those things. And so I think what I'm writing now, and all the process of just vomiting out all this material in words, apparently, is it's about putting it all together, right? It's the good and the bad, and the life and the death, and the up and the down, and the good, the bad, the ugly.
Do you think you're going to have another record before the end of the new year?
This year.
A couple days.
Oh my God, I could probably whip one up.
I watched you write a song in, an hour on Facebook one time?
You know what's funny? It's like that process of being rushed is among the things that I'm trying to avoid more than anything else now.
Okay. So,
but by the new year, I got 5 things I'm working on right now.
And we're also going to see, hopefully, in the new year, because I was hoping to have it underneath the Christmas tree, the Live from Bulgaria.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
I gotta finish that.
Oh, yeah. Write that down. Make yourself a note.
I gotta have the mix finished. We're doing it in Surround. I gotta have it finished by February 1st, and then I go to finish the editing in Manchester on the 3rd. So,
okay.
Yeah.
When are you going to do a show like that? Maybe something that I could actually, I don't know, fly to, drive to. I mean, you're Canadian, for God's sake. You never do a big show in Canada.
Well,
there's never a show in the U.S. like this. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've seen like little clips of where you guys played.
I appreciate the assumption that it's a choice is very flattering. Thank you.
Well, I mean, does Bulgaria call you and go, Devin Townsend, you come and play here?
It's cheap to play there.
Bulgarian voice?
That's very good. Yeah, it's cheap to play there.
Okay.
I can get an orchestra there for a song, essentially.
Gotcha.
Europe in general, my status is much more than an opening band in New Jersey. You know, it's like you've got to be pragmatic about where you are as a business, and as a business, being in a touring progressive heavy metal band is not great business. You know, people are going, I see people who are in really successful bands being critical, like guys in radio, and going, why would somebody do a meet and greet? It's just so arrogant. I'm going, because we can't afford to not.
It helps. It puts gas in the
it really does, man.
Maybe even heat next time.
It's super expensive, yeah, right? So the fact that we only play these big shows in like London or whatever is only because we're bigger there.
I got you.
And it's like if we put on like an orchestral show in Sayreville, you know, we'd have yourself. I'm hoping.
Yes, I would definitely.
Maybe a couple hundred people show up.
I think you underestimated within the tri-state area how many people would show up to a Devin Townsend orchestral show.
Tri-state. That's Perry the Platypus. That's tri-state area. That's Phineas and Ferb.
What? Phineas and Ferb?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Oh, Yeah,
I mean, I know the cartoon. I just
The evil guy is always trying to ruin the tri-state area. That's here?
Yes. This New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. That's the tri-state area.
Nice.
And you got Philly, too. People will drive in for that.
Well, maybe they would. I think the thing is, as well, is it's a lot of what I've done and been asked to do in terms of these big shows act more as promotion for what I'm trying to do ultimately with my visions. And so you've got to be careful with these things that the cost of renting and getting gear to the States and everything, as opposed to even Bulgaria, as much as that seems really far out, it's so cheap there. And London, for example, all our gear, we've got a backup rig in London that we don't have to freight it in.
This all makes sense.
It does, and it sucks because some people are going, it'd be nice, we would come to it. And like even Finland, where we do really well, people say, well, why don't you do something there? But it's a slow path to that. And if I got anything going for me as an artist, is I'm not particularly interested in like overnight success. Clearly,
take your time. No
I'm
rush.
doing it. I'm taking 25 years.
You got another 20 to go before you're all good. No rush.
But I'm writing fucking awesome stuff right now. It's like the first time I've been psyched on it in years. And it's not like I haven't been psyched on the other stuff. I have been.
Okay.
But it's all been... When I redid the Ocean Machine thing in Bulgaria, I was listening through the lyrics, and I was like, wow, back then I was less fearful of what I said. I would say what I meant to say, and the emotional impact of that was a lot more raw. And I think that over the past decade, not all of it, there's some of it, but I really got more invested in metaphor because I think there was a part of me that didn't trust myself, didn't trust that if I was just to say what I felt like saying, that it wasn't going to be fundamentally toxic. And that had led me to decisions in strapping that were really like not cool for my life. So over the past decade, I think creatively I've been really tentative with things. As much as it's been really like Dark Matters and Casualties are cool and all these things, Ghost or Z2 or Transcendence, it's all, I'm really proud of it. But there's a part of me that feels like, well, you need to let it rip a bit. You need to allow yourself to be in total control. You need to allow yourself to say things without this gauze of bad goth poetry. Just like
don't hold back.
Don't hold back. And I think I've over the past 10 years I've gotten to the point where I trust myself in a way.
Okay. Which
even goes back to lifestyle choices. It's like I know I'm not a liability to myself and my friends and my family at this point. So within that, it's about not being afraid to be who you are.
Devin, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to hang out.
Yeah, I'm going to keep going.
Dude, you probably could, but I don't know if I could get it all on YouTube then.
I don't blame you.
Devin, your music has always been one of the highlights of me doing this job here.
Thank you.
It's always been a lot of fun talking to you. It's been a lot of fun listening to your music.
Yeah.
Take all the time you want.
It won't be long.
It won't be long. 8 months. I won't fault you for it, but I can't wait to hear some new music in the live from Bulgaria.
Yeah.
And what's the best place to find your book? I didn't even know you wrote a book.
Oh yeah, I wrote
regarding you're coming up in this industry, and I can't even imagine the stories that are in that book. But where can people find that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I think it's DevinTownsendBook.com or something.
Okay. I need to find it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't even know where you find my records.
Probably on your website.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We have a website?
You do.
Shit.
Well, it's not a O-Merch, I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
O-Merch.
Oh, yeah.
It's a much better one in Europe. If you're an American fan, you're screwed. If you're a European fan, tons of cool stuff.
Well, you know what's funny, man? It's like... Sorry, I'll just keep rambling for 1 minute.
It's all right.
It's just like you look at all these... We're driving through Dallas the other day and looking at all these huge buildings, and it's just this whole culture of acquisition is so foreign to me. It's like some dude owns these massive buildings. Some dude wakes up every day and has to take care of that shit and think about how they're going to acquire more shit. It's like, I got a studio, I got the guitars I need. I don't want more than what I got. I'm
You don't
psyched.
want a new guitar.
I got more guitars than I need.
But you don't want a new one?
I get 2 new ones in
See,
January.
there you go.
Yeah, but it's because Framus, right? Like they're trying to pimp it out. They're just like it's like this Devin Townsend model, and I was like, it's fucking great. But
of course,
do I want a new guitar? Of course. Do I need a new guitar? No, dude, I don't need anything
want a
more.
new guitar. If
Yeah,
I knew how to play guitar, I'd want a new guitar.
I want a new guitar,
That's cool.
but if I don't get another guitar, it's fine. It doesn't impede my ability to do what I do.
Okay.
But I think the thing is, like, the point of that is it's just like, you can't, I don't know where you get the records. I don't know where you get the book. I don't know, what we're selling in the merch stand. But we sell enough for me to continue doing it, and ultimately, that's awesome.
I will be.
There's a book out somewhere.
I promise you, I'll get you to the next town. I'm going to definitely put a couple of dollars in the gas tank tonight. At the
Really?
stand. Oh, of course. Man.
It'll choke it out. You need to just put gas in it.
Well, I mean, it'll get gas and maybe a sandwich at the Wawa.
Sounds good.
Devin, thank you so
Thanks,
much
buddy.
again.
Yeah.
Have a great tour. Happy New Year. Next year, man.
Yeah.
Next year, grow it
Can't
up.
do it, man.
You can do it, bro.
Can't
It'll
do
look great.
In my mind, I would look like what's that guy's name? Like an Alan Watts. But in reality, I would look like a homeless man.
I'm starting to look pretty homeless. The wife's like, you gotta.
Before you are homeless, right?
Yeah, basically.